And finally, I'm going to go to Tools and come down to Color Styles, which opens the Color Styles docker. Reading the text on the bottom half of the larger grey box, it says, drag here to add color style and generate a harmony. What that means is, if I select the entire business card, all of its components, and then click and drag onto the color harmony area, CorelDRAW automatically collects colors of similar hue and value and decides how many color groups to create, which are the 3 groups we can see here. We can increase or lower the number of groups. Slide the slider to the left for less, or of course slide to the right for more. Of course, which of these 3 options we have selected will determine how many colors we see and how many harmony groups we have. If I select Object Outline, well, there is only one outline, and it's this outline here, so we can only see one color. If I choose Object Fill, we'll see all of the other colors, minus, of course, that outline color. I want to go with both Fill and Outline and 2 groups. A quick note. If you're working in CMYK or RGB, whichever color space you're working in right now, should you have alternate colors, for example, a spot color, the only way that you could make a spot color really work inside of the harmony area is to convert that spot color to a CMYK color. Or if you're working in the RGB space, then it would be convert to RGB. The point though is this: whenever you've created a document that utilizes spot colors, it's very important to maintain the integrity of that spot color throughout your design. So converting to CMYK or RGB will lose that value, and you won't be able to get that back at a later point. So it's very important to remember that. For right now, I don't have any other color types, so I'm going to click OK. I'll quickly pull down the grab handle, and you can see these are the 2 color groups that have automatically been created for us. I'm going to start out by selecting the first harmony folder. Of course, that only contains the color white. What you'll notice down here is in the color harmony editor, we have one single selector ring, one color white. If I were to select the second folder, we have now 4 colors and we have 4 selector rings. Well, let's start out by simply looking at the one single color, one selector ring. By selecting this ring and moving it anywhere around the harmony wheel, I'm updating in real time on screen the color that we finally select. You'll notice the color changes here, in the folder, and on screen. If you recall, when we dragged everything up onto the harmony area, the text was white in color. Therefore, there is now a direct link to this color swatch. No matter what color I change this to, or what method I use, it will update on screen. Coming down a little, there is a saturation slider. Be sure to play with this because it does affect the end result. Moving all the way to the right will give you a perfectly accurate result of wherever the color ring actually sits. Move this back a little and we're getting a slightly darker, less saturated result. Coming down even further, we have what we call the color editor and some more familiar tools for editing a color style and hence our text on screen. For example, I could click the eyedropper tool and sample a color anywhere throughout my project. I can even sample a color here from the color mixer. Or we could open up the familiar CMYK sliders. We can also go on and look at color viewers, even type in a value. And in fact, I'll return us back to the color white by entering 0, 0, and 0. Slide back up. Let's go ahead and select the second folder. And because we have 4 colors in this color group, we have 4 color selector rings. A selector ring is selected when it has the outer white perimeter, a white circle around the outside. Because all are selected right now, I can simply click and drag and they will all move at the exact same time. To select only one, choose either a color or click on the selector ring itself. To choose more than one, hold your finger on Shift and select more than one color. Or you can do the same thing by actually clicking direct onto the color selector rings. Finger on Shift and select more than one, and now when you move, the ones that you've selected will move together. Well, what I want to do is I'm going to change the colour of the plum in the background. So I'm going to click on the plum colour, so I know that must be the colour selector ring, and I'm going to move that to a more autumn shade. Something like that. That will look great. And I'm just going to increase the saturation a little. There we go. What I want to do now is I want to recolour the fish and the number 7, but I want to maintain that same shade relationship that these two have. So, finger on Shift, select both of these, and I'm going to drag over into this orangey area. And again, that will fit this autumn look that I'm looking for. To individually alter the colours a little more, just select the one and then click and drag to the area that you want, and that looks great. Finally, the pink, I don't think that really works, so I'm going to select and drag that over more into a green area, and that's quite a nice looking set of autumn colours. Now, if I click away from all the colour selector rings, by default they are all selected. Now what I can do is click and drag, and all of the rings maintain the same relationship to each other colour-wise. And this is such a great way to rotate through the harmony wheel to see varying combinations of colours that you might not have ever previously considered. Now remember, you can move out and you can move right in for different looks and effects. And I think that that looks really great. What a great way to demonstrate to a customer all sorts of colour possibilities. Another way to create colour harmony groups is to do it by selecting objects. If I select this line, finger on Shift and select the background, and then right click, come down to Colour Styles and choose New from Selected. Just go with both fill and outline, and I only want one harmony group. So click OK, and I'll pull the little grip bar down. And I'm going to do the same thing by selecting the fish. Select, right click, Colour Styles, and choose New from Selected. Click OK, and now I have two colour harmony groups. Watch this. If I select the first group, well now of course I can change the background and that line. What a great way to maintain that same colour relationship. Then I'll select the other group, and this is a way to come up with colour ideas, as I said a little earlier, that you most likely would never really think of. Just as easily as we've been learning to change colours, create colour groups, etc., we can actually break the link between an object and its colour group. For example, if I right click on the fish and come down to Colour Styles and choose Break Link to Colour Style, then when I move the colour group and change its colours, the fish now remains the same. There will be the odd occasion where you'll need to break the link. So now that we've broken the link of all these colours in this harmony group, I'm going to select the folder and click Delete. I'm now going to go ahead and add some colour styles to this upper area. We can do this in a few ways. I can simply click and drag a colour from the colour palette, or I could drag and drop an object from my design, and that will continue to add colour styles. I can also come down here to the new colour style icon, click the little flyout, and choose New Colour Style. By default, it will be red in colour. So I can move the little colour selector around, I can move through the varying hues of colour, move the selector to an area I want, or I can manually type in a value. 62, tab 0, tab 22. Hit enter. It's an aqua type colour. Now I'm going to go ahead and add an empty Colour Harmony folder. So click and New Colour Harmony. It has no colours in it right now. I want you to see we can easily select a colour and drag and drop into that folder. And it's really great. We can actually extend the colour range of this folder by extending it with gradients. Simply choose the New Colour Harmony option and choose New Gradient. From the New Gradient dialog, we can make a number of selections. These are the colours that will be added to my folder when I click OK. I can increase the number of colours, or I can decrease the number of colours. Shade similarity means the higher the number, the closer each colour well will be. Very little difference between each of the colours. The lower the shade similarity, the greater distance in colour between each shade. Let's just stay with a value of 4. That will work. Lighter shades is lighter, darker shades is darker. Both is a combination, and this can actually be very valuable using combinations because you're getting a number of colors that will work together. Well, I'm going to go with lighter shades and click OK. And all of our shades have now been added to our folder. You can also see the color selector rings. Notice how they're in a perfect straight line, and that's because it was a perfect gradient from almost white through to the aqua color I created. To link any of these colors in this harmony group with an object is easy. Simply click and drag onto the object. I'll do the number 7, and I'll also place on the line, and for a slightly lighter shade, onto the fish. Well, now that I've selected and utilized all the colors here that I want to, there are a number of colors that are unused. And the best way to find them and remove them is to click Select Unused, and then all I have to do is click Delete. And I'm left with only the colors that I'm utilizing throughout my project. I'm going to select this Harmony folder, and as we've been doing, just rotate a little so we can see some changes occur here. And isn't that just fantastic how easy it is to bring about change and create some really interesting color combinations. I highly recommend, as we've been learning, particularly in the previous video when creating object styles, that exporting all of your work is quite valuable. We can export all of our color styles, our object styles and so forth into a style sheet. So I'm going to click, and here in the export dialog I'll simply call this color style so that I know, and click export. We're then presented with that same dialog box you saw previously for object styles, but this time I only want to save color styles. Click OK. The advantage of this is that should you want to pass these color styles on to another designer, or you want to use them as you extend this project, you simply can import the style sheet and away you go, as we've learnt in the previous videos.